Good afternoon, Inglewood. It's great to be here, and I hope everybody is safe at this marathon we've been having for the last week. Sometime in life, we find ourselves in different situations. We find people doing the wrong thing, and when they do the wrong thing, the world look at it, and they get an opportunity to see what's really going on in these communities. They get an opportunity to see how people of authority handle themselves, how people of authority sometimes step across the line and destroy a life. Everything about America is supposed to be free, equal, and these rights sometimes be stepped on. And here we are again, going through the same problem we went through for the last 100 years. From 1992, we learned so much from 1992, and young America have took it to another level. They end up understanding how to control their anger. They understood what they needed to do to make everybody listen. The people as a whole came together and cried out and said, enough is enough. We tired of you taking black lives. Black lives do matter, like everybody else's life matter. But we just have this bodega about ourselves that we want to make sure that everybody understands that sometimes violence do work, but we don't want to see violence. We don't want to see people being hurt. We want to make sure that everybody is compassionate towards each other. There was a scene at this episode where the police left a police. And the brothers just looked at the police and said, man, we're not going to destroy you because that's what everybody expects us to do. We was taught when we was younger to have compassion for all. And today we want to ask you, do you understand? Because we are here to make you understand that life do go on and we are human. And when you are human, you have the right to live life, to exist with each other. So today, they hand down a verdict for some people, but they haven't handed down the final outlook on it yet. So again, here we are, being social equity leaders and leaders of the community, and we're looking at our brothers and sisters, and we tell them, what you've seen is what you were supposed to see, because God waited so you guys could see this show of force, this act of humanity. And now I'm asking everybody to calm down. Let them do their job, but always keep your eye on the ball. And now here we are turning a new page in life. And now the social equity people who is here to get licensed for marijuana, they have a job to do. And we are here to help them do their job. So again, I'm going to bring Shirley on for a second so she can tell you something that you may like and what you may need to hear. Shirley, you on, please?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Hi, Whitey.
Hey,
Hi, our listeners, for the Everything You Need to Know About Cannabis show. We are your social equity cannabis business development team, and since 2018, we have been transforming ourselves and our business partners from illegal to legal. And as folks who are formerly incarcerated and have a justice history, there's so many different intersections. We wanted to bring that education and that conversation to our podcast. This particular series is geared for our technical assistance contract and training, where we help individuals who are harmed most by the war on drugs. If you have a cannabis conviction or another nonviolent conviction, then you would be eligible for a social equity license. And we can explain what that program and criteria is in one of our other episodes. That'll be episode number 1, that will explain what is the social equity cannabis criteria. But again, it's cannabis conviction and or other nonviolent. However, we know as black people, there's so many issues that impact us, and all of our men and women in one way or another have been impacted by this war on drugs and the severe, consistent, persistent economic lockout and the many barriers that have been created. So we came together in 2018 to take some responsibility. We're not waiting for anybody to give us a special program, create a special program for us. we decided to form our own companies, our own programs, and lead our way into this movement. So today we have a wonderful panel, a number of powerful voices. Besides, Whitey is our regular recurring partner, co-sponsor with this program. And today we have a couple of other guests that are long-term partners from the Timeless, Cortez. He has another young man, Charles Taylor, and all of them are going to help us to understand this particular topic for today, on the road back home, so what are some of the transition skills that people will need as you're coming back home to prepare for what's waiting here for us, and also how do you become a tax-paying business? I want you guys to talk about some of the things that worked and didn't work, and then also, again, how do people find resources? One of the number one things that we learned when we sit down and talk with a reentry program and they let us in, it's not so much the lack of motivation. When you first come home, I hear, the first 30 days, 60 days, super critical, and people need to know where to go. So we need that reentry before they even get out. We need to start making sure we tighten up that communication so we can get to people, because there's so many resources, but how do people know where to go? So I wanted you all to verify or tell us, what we really need to know, and let's talk about that to help these new social equity businesses have a chance to survive and thrive. So Whitey, Charles, anybody want to jump in and kind of talk about that aspect of the cannabis business? And one more thing, did you know that this year, and with all this that's been going on, we recently learned that the city of LA wants to change the taxation rules and now start taxing our businesses monthly, whereas before it was annually or quarterly. So this is going to be devastating for some of our small businesses that are getting used to that, So I just want to invite you all to come in and jump in and help us talk about that as we teach these new entrepreneurs how to be successful.
Cheryl, you know what? Thanks for giving us that. We needed it. But the great thing about this panel today is all of us came from the same place. And it's a such thing, and when you walk back in America, we're not behind. We already been caught up. They just took us away. They kidnapped us and said, you guys is too successful at the job you guys doing. So Tyrone going to sit back and he's going to tell you something real nice and slick, and he's going to tell you how this game really works, because reentry is a special thing in life, and we have an opportunity to step in here where everything is on the ground, and we can pick everything up and run with it now, because everybody is almost on the same page. So I'm going to let Tyrone tell you a couple of things that you may like and respect about what's going on in life. Here you go, brother. You're on.
How you doing? This is Cortez. You called me Tyrone for some reason.
My bad, Cortez.
It's all right, brother. I did 24 years on a 25 life sentence, and my change came for when I understood who I was and what I was about. Just like the riots that's going on now and the people going berserk or haywire, it's not just for that purpose. It's a history behind that. It's a growth behind that it's been going on through life, through history, and we've been repressed and depressed all our lives, okay? But being in that system, you start learning about yourself. You start reading about yourself, and you understand what direction you want to go. Before I went to prison, I had a small business. I had a detail shop, and it was successful. By my terms, it was successful because I knew all my clients, and it was growing every day.
Speaking the mic a little bit.
It was growing every day, and I had a sign where I needed to express myself, and I expressed myself in the wrong way, which caught me all that time. And I'm not saying it was a good thing, but being in prison taught me how to survive in life. It taught me how to trust people that are trustworthy, and that's where my change actually came, when I was inside, and it developed through the Timeless Group. And I work for the Timeless Group right now. I just became the VP of Timeless, and I'm excited about that.
That's good.
Yeah, it was growing, but in 5 years I became the VP of something that we started inside the prison walls, and it was to help people have an understanding of who they were, and not just because you were in the system, that you were systematic. You had to be able to grow up outside of what you were, and we try to teach that to everybody that's came through our program. And what I mean by just came through our program, we have inside programs, we have housing programs right now. We have contracts from the state and from the county of Los Angeles. So we're there to help people that are coming out of the system, people that have needs. And like it's a growing aspect that we miss, that people feel, okay, they came out of prison, we gave them $200, they all right. They're going to make it and they're going to grow in this world. No, that $200 barely gets you the train bus or the bus back here from wherever you were at in California. So if you take $200 and you think you're going to turn it into gold, you're not. So if you prepare yourself mentally to come out here and get the things that you need, first thing people say, I need a job. Then they say, I need housing. Then they say, I need my ID, and actually it don't all fall in that order.
No, it don't. Not at all.
So that's what you have to look at. Everything doesn't fall in that order. And when I came home, the first thing I thought about, what am I going to live? How am I going to live? And what does it take to live? Because I've been gone from the world. So when I came out here, like you said, we learned stuff inside that was magnificent. We learned things inside that were magnificent, and we actually got to grow with that. And what we did, we determined what our needs were. And then we related to the next man and asked him what his needs were. And that's where I'm going to segue into my partner, Charles. He is the director of operations of the Timeless Group, and he can tell you about what he had to go through to get to this destination.
How everybody doing today? My name is Charles Taylor, and basically I went to jail when I was 16 years old for a 28 years life sentence. I paroled after 26 and a half years. I've been a part of the Timeless Group since 2007, since the inside. And ever since I entered the Timeless Group, it helped reform my life. It helped reshape my thinking and set me on a path where I discovered how to love myself and love other human beings around me. And so by the time I did leave prison, I knew that Timeless had a program out there on the street, because I always stayed connected and facilitated workshops inside the prisons to help other young men and older men to not put themselves in a situation where they come back to prison. So my mind was already prepared to basically take action once I got home to the streets. And once I came home and went to the Timeless program, all the resources that I needed was right there for me. And one thing that we did in the Timeless Group is that we try to help men basically learn how to relive their life out there on the streets again. So we run programs and groups and things. We run programs and groups to keep their heads in the right place. And so a lot of times that being gone for a long time, your coping skills are very much needed in this world, just to be able to cope with new life on another level that we wasn't able to live before we came to jail with this new state of mind. And so since I've been home, it's like it has worked for me, but I continue to practice the things that I need to practice as far as to keep me living on the right path like I do. So we do that by giving back. So giving back to other people keeps me focused on the things that I need to do in life. So right now I am the director of operations, and we help the mentally ill people, the homeless population, and things of that nature to make sure that people have housing, once they complete our programs and things like that. So I think it's very important just for us to, be able to feel the people and vibe with the people and meet them on their levels and at their needs, because I know how it feels to be without. I know how it feels to not being loved or cared about and things like that. So what we try to provide who we are, our hearts, to show people that we care, and that's what it's about. Sometimes people can read people and see where their hearts and mind are at. And I think like when you deal with us in the Timeless organization, you see where we're coming from. We just like everybody else. But at the same time, we just want to see people succeed. And so, with that said, I'm gonna pass it over to my man here.
Hey, that's Charles and Cortez, and you got to understand this. We have been behind the wall, and we understand what was out here waiting on us. Some people out here have took advantage of a missed opportunity, and they did nothing with it. Where when we walked out of here and walked in a jailhouse, we understood that it was somewhere else we wanted to be. We didn't want to be locked up in a little bitty room and say, we give up, we surrender.
Preach, brother, preach.
Because most people do surrender.
Yeah.
But when you have that will and the understanding that when you left, you wasn't doing the wrong thing, but you wasn't doing the right thing, but you was feeding your family. And when your family walk in a room and the police just mistreating you and treating you like you nothing in front of your family, you find yourself wondering, what is really going on with the people out there where when they could walk in one of these places and think they some gods, and we supposed to sit there and look at them and say, okay, you guys somebody. A police is just a police. An officer is just an officer. But the power that we have as individuals, as people who re-entering this society, and we know what we supposed to do and know how to do it, it make everybody around us understand that we did not waste our time where we was at. And we repaired ourselves, and we grabbed the people on the side of us and took them for this ride. It's a brand new ride going on right now.
Yes, it is.
As you look at the community, they saying, what's going on? They looking at the big boys saying, did you guys go through this? And we say, yeah. It just make you stronger. It make you better. You need to have a job. And when you have a job and a woman on the side of you who have a job, you building something so special. And the rest of the world look at you like, how did you guys come back and define us? You guys are supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
We killed you guys.
Yeah.
How is you over here talking? You don't have the right to tell nobody nothing. We destroyed you guys. And we just looks at them and laugh like, you destroyed us.
Yes.
You guys just showed us that you guys were so weak that you needed to take us away from our people so you could look strong.
The way
So
you say
Cortez,
it.
gonna tell you some more about this. This is how this really go for real.
When they say black don't crack,
It don't crack.
it don't crack in no form or fashion.
Oh no.
Okay? The struggle was real,
Yes.
but we came out of that struggle. Like right now, I'm been in my house a year. I'm a homeowner. And that's mind-boggling to me to be home 5 years and own a house before my 5-year plan. And it all came because Yusuf Wiley seen something inside of all of us, and he's the CEO of the Timeless organization. He is the one that created the curriculum. He is the one that's still pushing hard to help people make it, and he sees it every day. It's not at a level where, okay, I'm a CEO, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. No, he's still on the ground. He still communicates not just with staff, but he communicates with the people. And that's what it's about, the people. And everybody that comes out of that system, if we didn't know each other, we know each other because we know that walk. We know the destiny that
Talk
we're
to
going
me,
to.
baby. Talk to me.
And when you're seeking that destiny and you know that I walk that same walk, and no matter how many years you've been out, how many years you've been in, you still know that walk. You still know where you want to go. And, it's passion. And that's why I said, I'm not working. I love what I do. And I get paid for it. And that's a blessing. But the same people that had us in that system actually need us to help people. We give people jobs. We started off, before this year, we were at 12 employees. Now we're at 68 employees. Not even a full year yet. 68 employees. And most of these people, 90% of our organization, people that came to us and worked for us, are people with barriers or they've been incarcerated before. Okay? And when I say barriers, that means women as well. Going through situations, life situations. Our environment creates who the person that we are. Okay? I came from a good environment. My dad was a chief petty officer in the United States Navy. How did I end up in prison? How did I get that far gone and I led in the prison? because I chose the community, I chose the people that I wanted to be around, okay? And I lived in a nice community, but I left it because I wanted to feel my blackness. I wanted to understand what it felt like to be black and be around my people. When I got around my people, I did what I was supposed to do, you know, and I put myself in a situation where I couldn't get out of. But instead of falling over and giving up, I want to grow. So as soon as I came out the door, somebody gave me an opportunity. And Yusuf, I'm telling you, this brother is so deep. You could sit there and look at him and you'd be like, man, what is you thinking? Because he is so deep and intelligent into giving people what they need and what they have. When he met me inside, he told me, he said, you're going to be this person. And I'm like, huh? How do you see that in me? He said, because I see your heart. You know, and I mean, it might be a gift, but the brother gives us all opportunities to grow. And it's not just for me, it's for our community, you know?
That's a good push. That's a good push. It's like every day of my lifetime, they ask me one question, Cortez. They say, how do you believe in everything that you see? And how can you look outside the box while everybody is so busy looking inside the box? And I try to explain to all the brothers in the world, if you look in the box, you're not going to see what you want. It's just a box.
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to make the decisions that you're supposed to make because you're getting programmed to a box. Now I'm home, and I've been home for 5 years, and I have not broke the law one time since I've been home.
Scared to speed.
And everybody looks and say, man, you're not rich. I said, I'm so rich it's pitiful because I got so much knowledge locked up in my brain, and you guys put me in a new environment where it's really breaking the law. How it's really supposed to be breaking the law. But you guys say it's not breaking the law, so I'm not breaking the law. And I'm going to take all these brothers along with me who want to come on this ride in this social equity thing. I'm going to take them and teach them what they need to know to be successful in the weed industry. And then I turn around and I got bumped by accident by Tyrone.
Yeah.
He said, Whitey, where you been? I said, Tyrone, this is not my get down. He said, yes, it is. You showed us so much in the past. Show us a little bit more how we can walk through these doors and bring the brothers with us and create some jobs for these brothers because they just came from the same place you came from and they want the same thing that you want. They just need a nudge. Yeah. And Charlie, you know, Mr. Charlie Tyrone, he's sitting here and he like, shit, I'm here and I can help. Just come down to my office, come and see me. Yeah. I see it in you brothers. Like, come on, brothers. We ain't going back to jail. Jail is over. It's a new title.
Yeah, that's over with.
It's a job.
That's over with.
Yes. And I know it's over. I'm looking at you guys knowing like we don't need the big pretty cars. We just need to be at home and enjoying our grandkids and our kids. Exactly. So you could tell me some more on that, Mr. Tyrone.
I mean, Charles
Tyrone.
Yeah, I got you, bro. No, I was just sitting there. I was sitting here reflecting when I was listening to you and Cortez talking. And I can remember when I was in the inside, and I said to myself, I said, if I was dead, this is how the world would still be moving, because I felt like I was just existing. So I told myself, if I ever get the opportunity to see the streets again, I'm going to do it right this time. But that was just a thought then. But at that time in my life, I was still doing things that I wasn't supposed to do. But it came to a time where I said to myself that, I want better for me. And how do I do better for me? And that's when I started to address the things like the internal things inside of me where my emotions connect, how I react to problems and things like that. They always say that you don't really know yourself until you see yourself going through something. And that's the person that you need to monitor on a day-to-day basis. So them were things that I started to do, and when I was doing my self-reflection. And then also, it was a lot of things in prison that was going on that I really didn't like, but I had to abide by the rules. So prison taught me to make adjustments at the time when I wasn't ready to make adjustments. So them same type of things that I brought out here to the streets with me. And one thing that was big for me is just practicing self-love. And there's so many different ways that you can practice self-love. because if you practice self-love to yourself, you put that same energy out there in the universe. And that's one thing that I have always tried to do. A lot of times people see me and they say, and I told them how long I've been in prison, and they say, man, it never even seemed like you have been to prison before. So that lets me know that the person that I am today, the person that I love, is the person that I like, and it's working not only for me, but it's working for other people.
Preach, brother, preach.
So them were things that I see. Like when I look at the world and I got out, I noticed that it was a lot of people that was angry. You know, sometimes I speak to people and they don't speak back, but I always speak just out of respect because that's me. And I just feel like, you know, any time that you have an opportunity to bring a person up, lift a person up, that's the opportunity you take. You know, that's what you do. And that's the reason why when you hear Cortez say, oh, this not even work to him, he loved his job, because this is part of our life, you know, giving back to help people. Because if somebody wouldn't have helped me, then I wouldn't be in this position right now.
That's good.
You know, to seeing people struggle and things like that. You know, I used to be a big marijuana user myself before I went inside. And I remember I used to say to myself that I ain't gonna stop smoking weed until I die. But I realized this though, you know, me stop smoking weed allowed me to be able to go home one day. And then I realized that me stop smoking weed helped me think better, you know, helped me focus, and because I was codependent on it. You know,
Okay.
I was addicted to it. You know, some people feel like they're not addicted to certain things, but I knew that I was addicted to it. And once I stopped it, I moved forward, man. My life became so much better.
That's great.
And the confidence became so much better. So, you know, we just try to encourage people that's coming out of prison that you can succeed out here on these streets. You can utilize the tools that you learn to be able to make it in this world, because a lot of times that people that's been out here, they don't reach out for help and get the type of help we were able to get inside. I always tell the people, yeah, it was a bad time I had in prison, but at the same time, I got the best I can out of prison that they did have to offer.
That's good. That's good.
As an opportunity,
Yes.
you know, as opportunity. So
Yeah, I could say.
So I wanted to, could I jump in,
Sure,
guys?
sure,
I just
sure.
want to once again thank you guys. Thank you so much for sharing all those stories to give a pathway back. Even during this COVID crisis, we've had men and women, you know, being released and trying to find their way back home, and also making sure that we are loud and using our voices to speak up for those that were incarcerated at this time, to try our best to make their lives easier, healthier, you know, help them do this time, and know that there's some people out here that care about them. So I wanted to kind of keep the program flowing, and also we have on the line with us Rhonda Dixon, and she's from Dixon Law Center, our social justice law center, and she will be, she provides our in-house counsel. And so she's someone that we all need when it's time to do your business agreements. Do you have the proper contracts, memorandum? Are your interests clearly articulated? Do you understand, you know, how to put your lease agreements together? These are a lot of things that we're facing as new business owners start up. And I just wanted to invite Rhonda in to kind of continue to talk to us about how do we make sure our paperwork is right. One thing COVID taught us, you got to have your paperwork together. You must be virtual. You must have as strong a name as you do in the hood that you have on paper, and that you can stand up, you know, to do business. A lot of people couldn't take advantage of the various types of resources, even though they were doing business, because they didn't have the right paperwork. So I wanted to, very important step that we will take you through as you become a cannabis business owner for Green Believers. That's one of the most important things. We're going to help you as the owner, the visionary, and your team. And we can do it with confidentiality. We'll do it softly and slowly. But I cannot underscore how important it is that we grow in this area of having your paperwork, electronic payment systems. really good communications by email and other digital, and that we have to build and find those teams to help us stay in the modern world as much as we work in the other world. So, Brent, Rhonda, I wanted to welcome you on the podcast today. And what information do you want to share with us on this topic today of building your cannabis business?
Thank you, Cheryl, and everyone else.
Hey, Rhonda.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
It's called Dixon Justice Center, and let me give you the phone number. It's 877-384-5239, and we'll give it once again later on. So I'm also offering people some pro bono services for this, what's going on right now where people are getting curfew violations and things like that. I figure one of the ways that I can help as an attorney, me and my colleague have decided to help people out when they get curfew violations, and because I practice criminal law as well. So that's one of the things I'm offering. So it's very commendable. I heard some of the stories of some of the individuals that have come back into the community and have become productive members of the community. And that's very laudable and very, this is something that should be celebrated because so many people don't make it to that point. And they're kind of, from that point forward, they're always branded, if you will, with the felon, ex-felon, and they never really get past that, you know. So one of the things you can do business-wise is, of course, incorporate. Even if you do an LLC or a partnership can be two corporations together. One of the parties can be a corporation, and that's your strongest protection. So even if you end up working with someone else, it's important to become a corporation because then you can kind of either ditch debt or ditch, you know, corporations have their own personality and they're a person in their own right. So you can then allocate your money and allocate different things to the corporation so that at some point you can actually lose that corporate identity and get another corporate identity if you need to. But the other areas have to do with accounting, and we, of course, in our tech incubator, we have accountants and we help you with that kind of paperwork as well. But like Sugar Free said, you have to stay ready. So you'll be ready. When any opportunity comes up, you should always be ready to get that loan and be ready to do your taxes and actually understand what every action you take, how that affects your tax liability in the end. When we're talking about contracts, we want to make sure that we don't get taken advantage of in our contracts. There's a lot of legalese involved sometimes that maybe people don't understand. A lot of you guys have street sense, which is really good, but sometimes people can take advantage of you with contracts. So it's important to have a good advisor. It's not important that you know everything, but that you know who to go to get those answers or to get that help. And that somebody that one of the individuals talked about now, they learned how, from being inside, how to find people that were trustworthy for him to work with. Not everybody is trustworthy. Not everybody follows through on their word. So anyway, when we're talking about setting up companies, the foundation is really important. So choosing what foundation you're going to have, and I recommend a corporation. Now, the issue with corporations is you do have to pay that $800 a year fee, and it adds up. So you shouldn't get a corporation until you know that you're going to use it. You either have to pay you have to either put in a tax return, and you know, then a lot of times you won't owe taxes when you do the tax return if you do it properly and you've been watching your transactions, or you have to pay the $800 fee. So say you have a corporation and you don't do business for 3 years, so you have no money coming in. You still have to pay the $800 fee. Many corporations within that 3-year period, they rack up fees and penalties, and then they end up having, especially the State Franchise Tax Board will say, we're going to suspend your corporation for non-payment of taxes. That will also cause legal liabilities. If while your corporation is suspended, you should incur some kind of an issue of liability, then the corporate shield would be lifted, and then they could pierce the corporate veil and sue you personally. So that would take away the protection that you have of the corporation. Some of the people have had, you know, when you have a corporation, you have a shareholders agreement When you have an LLC, you have an operating agreement. This is where we've seen a lot of inequities happen with the cannabis industry when people have to come in and get an investor. The social equity applicant wants an investor to come on board. Well, you know, the old adage, he who has the cash makes the rules, right? So more than likely, the other party's attorney is going to draft that operating agreement or that shareholders agreement. And if they draft it, the rule is that whichever attorney drafts it is going to draft it in favor of their client. That's just the way it goes, and that's why we negotiate, because between two attorneys pushing back, hopefully we get somewhere towards the middle. So that's what we're looking at, and there's so many different agreements with different provisions in them that it's almost difficult to tell because there's been no guidelines set. The guidelines were 4951, and what they kind of meant by that was meaningful.
Rhonda,
Yes.
for some reason the sound is coming through poorly on the other end, so I'm going to hang you up and call back and see if we can get you get you into a better speaker situation. Hello?
Is it better now?
Can somebody respond who's in the studio? Is it a little bit better now? Can you hear better?
Yeah, I can hear a little bit better.
Hello?
Do you want me to call back still?
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll call you. I'm gonna call you back.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
I like what she was talking about, the MOUs, Memo of Understanding. A lot of people don't know that when they're doing business, if you're setting up it's basically a soft contract. But it shows you the legal side of what you need to do, and it holds everybody accountable. So what services you render, you'll be able to handle that business. So I got that from her.
Yeah, that's how we try to do. We try to make sure everybody has their paperwork in order. So at the end of the day, you don't get mixed up when they come down and say, let me check this out, let me see this, because white America got this thing with us where we're not paying enough taxes, we're not keeping the right books, and then they holler about, oh yeah, your insurance not up to date. It's all those little neons that they try to hit us with. So here we are again with all this trouble. And I think that we're going to be all right because there's going to be so many stores. I'm going to say this.
Carol.
There's going to be so many stores open where you guys can get new storefronts and put a whole lot of new items out for people to buy.
Yeah. Stuff that we created.
Yes.
Yeah.
AccelerateDradio.net or have them.
So this is what's going on right now. Can you get me right today, baby? Get Cheryl in yet? Okay. So this is what we're going to do because right now we're getting ready to open up the 33rd Collective. It's a CBD store. And it's a whole lot of other people down the line that I'm trying to convince right now, Cortez, that we can go spend a penny on the dollar instead of a dollar on a dollar. Because sometimes black people got to really open their eyes and understand that you don't have to deal with the quarter code. It's ridiculous trying to deal with it where we could do what they do. We can go over to China, get an import, export, and bring all our own goods down here to South Central LA or any part of California.
I mean, that's what the economy's set up to do.
Yes,
You know, free trade.
yes. And we are in free trade.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want nobody to have a misunderstanding like African Americans cannot deal with Chinamans, Italians, and whoever else, because we are here to give them what they need, some of our money. Call it in. Cheryl, you on, babe? Cheryl, you on?
I think so. Are we there? How's that?
That's
Yes,
better.
We can hear you.
And Rhonda,
That
you
better?
can, yeah, and Rhonda, you can continue to give me that conversation that you had, wherever you left out. Pick back up.
Okay. So this is hi. So can you hear me better now?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, great. Okay, so basically I was saying that, you know, one of the rules of contract negotiation is, you know, he who has the cash makes the rules. So a lot of times these contracts are very one-sided because it's more likely with a social equity contract that the other party's attorney has drafted the contract. And our tech incubator has 3 attorneys, myself, and 2 others that can help people to make that a little bit more level playing field. It starts with the contract. It starts with the entity, like whether you decide. A lot of people are deciding to be LLCs. I'm going to tell you why. LLC sounds sexy, but it's not the right vehicle for you. Unless you can still incorporate and be a member of an LLC, but the incorporation gives you an extra layer of protection. The managing partner in an LLC is not insulated from liability. They actually are not insulated from liability. So when you do what they call the operating agreement, when it's an LLC, it will designate who the managing partner is. And if that is the social equity applicant is not insulated from liability. Only people that are investors are insulated from liability. But if you have a corporation, it's different. Everyone is insulated from liability. Or if you were a corporation and became a member of an LLC, then it's like you're inside of a protective shell inside of the LLC. So you have 2 layers of protection instead of 1. But that's something that is a legal concept that a lot of people don't understand, but they think they're protected because they hear, oh, LLC means limited liability company. But whose liability is being limited? That's the issue. So that's why it's important to see an attorney in the beginning so that you know what type of entity you should be and how your contract should be set up, including your leases and things like that. Every different contract you enter into, vendor agreements, everything needs to be looked at because just make sure that they are fair. Now, right now we're going through what's called a force majeure event, and it's a Latin word or basically a French word that means a major event or an act of God. Sometimes in contracts, a lot of times they have this clause in there that suspends the contract or suspends some duties that you have during the time that you're in a situation like this where it's impossible or impractical for you to perform. So some contracts don't have that. There's some idea that if you have to put this clause in there, or maybe the clause operates by operation of law. But anyway, that's another thing that people are using right now to try to limit their liability in situations where things happen that are beyond their control. But they still have obligations to fulfill, but they're not able to fulfill them because there's some obligation blocking them. So it's not their fault is the point. So therefore the contract should be suspended during the time that they can't perform, and then it can be picked up later. And it sometimes can even be terminated for that reason, for the force majeure event. So are there any questions or anything somebody wants to follow up on here?
Well, this is Cortez, and I was talking about when we had our little break about the MOUs. I want people to get a better understanding of that, and I know you got the knowledge to share that.
The memorandum of understanding?
Yes, the MOUs. Yes.
Yes. So you would have that with the investor. That's the contract, and it's kind of like it talks about what each party is going to deliver and what their promises to each other are. Like if you have an MOU with a vendor or with another company,
yes,
that states that it's called a memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement. So it memorializes an agreement that you made between each other about working together and how you were going to do that and who was going to be responsible for certain parts.
It's the first step of doing business.
Exactly.
So one of the things that you transition when you have to have a paper trail business, you move into between these two worlds, you do fewer and fewer verbal agreements, especially when money changes hands. I tell my team, anything over $500, you better put it on a piece of paper. If it's anywhere from $1 to $499, and your goal is to be in a position where you can always take that as a loss. And this is how you measure your growth. So when you first come home, you could probably only take a $5, $10 loss. I mean, that's just keeping it 100 because you need to understand the mathematics of being successful. Some of it is art, and some of it is the math, and we can only teach you the math. I can't help you develop your swag. So this is how you multiply that. So having a memorandum of understanding, having a memorandum of agreement, which memorializes, quote unquote, the agreement, quote unquote, the understanding, it specifically delineates party A is going to be responsible for this, and party B will be responsible for that. And then, that's the beginning of having formal relationships. And it gets even more complicated than that, Rhonda. As you go up, you get contracts and partnership agreements and equity and all kinds of stuff. And these are the kinds of things that you will learn with our business incubator, which we will be open soon, come July, August. Go ahead, Rhonda. I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Oh, you did an excellent job.
Right. So the memorandum of understanding may be a preliminary agreement because it's more like a letter of agreement. You know what I mean? It's a short form agreement, kind of just going over in broad strokes what the agreement is. Yeah. Later on, you might enter into a contract, but that's just so that we can have a preliminary relationship so we can figure out what we're going to do next. Sometimes I make people sign a non-disclosure, a mutual non-disclosure, and mutual non-circumvention agreement. If I feel like there's a secret or like a trade secret or something that I don't want either part, I want to protect my party and his or her contacts from going to the other side or from them going around us once we have identified certain things. So I might make them sign a mutual non-disclosure and non-circumvention agreement before they start talking.
I agree. That's one thing I wanted everybody else to understand, because a lot of people think that's the contract. That's the contract. No, it's not the contract. It's the actual. Let's start the contract. Let's get agreement and understanding. This is what we're going to do.
Yes, that's the great.
But it can be enforceable if it's specific enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
A memorandum of understanding can be enforceable if it has enough meat in it for a judge to enforce it.
Yes, I get that.
Okay, so if it says who's going to do what and what's the breach, what happens if they breach and who's going to pay who, then, they can't make up terms of a contract, but if it has the contract terms, offer, acceptance, and consideration, and it's able to be enforced, it can be enforceable.
Yes, I agree 100%.
So we're almost at the top of the hour, and we're going to get back to one more topic before we leave, because we are here to make sure that the reentry program happens for everybody. And we are sitting at this table with 3 ex-offenders, and we just want to make sure that ex-offenders out there understand that it's a place in America for them. And it's no turning back. Just come forward, get in line. Cortez here, Charlie here, Charles here, and shoot, there's just so much out here for us to have, because we have an opportunity of a lifetime. And each one of these brothers is great at what they do. And if you young brothers or older brothers need a helping hand, Cortez can tell you where to see him at. And he can take you somewhere and help you in the right manner. And that's the only thing we're looking for out of each other, just a helping hand, just a hug, just say, hey, bro, we walked that yard, now it's time to walk these streets and be successful and make our family happy. So Cortez, take it from there.
Man, you bring tears to my eyes every time you talk, brother.
Hey.
And Cheryl, I want to thank you for giving me a platform to express who we are and what we do. And everybody can find us at timelessgroup.org. That's our website, and you can, if you need something from me personally, it's Cortez at timelessgroup.org. So you can actually hit me. I will respond. I'm not one of them people like, you ain't gonna call me, but no, I actually respond. And one thing that I do want people to understand, we're here to help. We're not here to hurt nobody. We're trying to help you as best we can if you want the help. Okay?
Yes. And,
you're welcome, Cortez. I just have to say that Timeless and Yusef and Cortez and their entire, their families, their wives, their supporters, their justice partners, top shelf, some of the best in the business on reentry, housing, mentorship, very professional, sophisticated, but also they have that grassroots flavor. So when you get ready to come home, make sure you look them up, and we'll be continuing to work with them, and you'll find them on our website. Just a really good stand-up group of brothers. I can't say enough of good things about you guys. Very consistent. So I appreciate you for being here. with us and giving me an opportunity, to have some real programs to work with.
No, I appreciate you, Cheryl. Like we say in
Thank-
our term, it's never too late to change. That's what we always push. That's our slogan. That's what we give to everybody. It's never too late to change.
That's right.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to. You actually helped us get people working. So that's a beautiful thing. So I appreciate you.
Come and give me something, Charles, before we leave, man. I don't have time not to get nothing from you before you walk out of here.
Yes, y'all put us out there so well. I like that. The Timeless Group, same here with me. Charles at timelessgroup.com. I'm here for anybody and willing to help. That's what we do. So I don't have much to say. I speak in action. And thank you.
Well, I can tell you like this. It's nothing in the world like being free. To walk on the beach, to walk in your own house and have your own key. A whole lot of people have been turning keys for us for so long. And we sit back now and look at it like we'll never let one of those clowns turn a key for us again. So every day, we talk about the 7 million brothers that have been locked down. We talk about the opportunity to come to be re-entry in the program of life. Life is here for the brothers who have an opportunity to walk back out that door. And that door is open wide right now. And the only thing we asking you guys to do is put some of your talents to work. Come and join a team of brothers and sisters who are here to help guide you through the loops. I understand when you walk out the door with nothing, but you was born in this damn world with nothing. So get your ass off that cold ass ground. Stop complaining about what they did in the past. The past is destroyed. It's not even there no more. The only thing here now is you and your opportunity to go forward in life. So I'm going to close this and say Whitey's Enterprise and the Green Believers, we wish everybody well. And if you get an opportunity, go downtown. Go say hi to the rest of the family and say we all in this together. All 4 of those guys is in jail now. And now, America, you guys need to wake up and grab each other and hug them real tight and say we ain't sending nobody else to jail. Ain't no police gonna kill nobody else. This is the Green Believer signing off. You have a great day.